What's up, YouTube? This is your boy John from the Jersey Shore, and I am back with you today to give you my review of the 1987 film A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. If you're already subscribed to my channel, welcome back. It's good to see you again. If you have not already subscribed to my channel and you're enjoying my content, why not click that subscribe button and don't forget to ring that bell. Dream Warriors was written by Wes Craven and Bruce Wagner. It was written by Chuck Russell, starring Patricia Arquette, Heather Langencamp, Craig Wasson, and Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. Alright, so our story starts off in a mental hospital. The star of this movie is a very, very young Patricia Arquette. She seems to have the ability to pull people in and out of her dreams, whereas when you typically in the first two movies, you have a dream, you meet Freddy Krueger, you have problems. In this particular story, when she has a dream, she has the ability to pull other people into her dream with her. So Dream Warriors has everything you need in a good story. You have the powerful kid, you have the mute kid, you have the wheelchair kid, you have the tough kid, you have the punk drug addict kid, you have two disposable kids, and you have Heather Langencamp, better known as Nancy. So in this movie, Patricia Arquette's character feels like she's going crazy. She's in this mental hospital because everybody thinks she's crazy. She's in the mental hospital with all these other kids that are crazy. But she's been fighting with the staff that are in there, with the I don't know if you'd call them security guards. I can't remember what they're called. Whatever. One of them is Laurence Fishburne, a very young Laurence Fishburne, actually. It looks like he's probably around the same age as he was when he made Boys in the Hood. I know that he is significantly younger in this than he was in that. Well, maybe not significantly younger, but 4 or 5 years, 6 years, something like that. Well, who the hell cares? Laurence Fishburne's in the movie. He's very young, and so is Patricia Arquette. All right, back to the story. So she's fighting all the people inside of this mental hospital and enters, that's when Heather Langencamp's character, Nancy, shows up, and she's immediately relates to what's going on in here. She's telling the other doctors, I've been there, I've done that, I understand what it's like to have nightmares like this, so I get it, I know where they're coming from, and I can probably help these kids out. So in this movie, you get more of the same that you did with the first two movies. Go to sleep, you know, teenagers doing what they do, and you fall asleep, you have nightmares, and some dude shows up with a glove on his hand and kills you. That's more or less what this movie is as well. The two people that I talked about earlier, the two disposable kids that this movie has, the first kid's actually, when Freddy comes to him, he's disposable. I said that right out the gate, so this is not too much of a giveaway. Freddy shows up to this kid when he falls asleep, and he actually pulled his tendons out from the tops of his feet and out from his forearms or from his wrists, and is walking him around like a puppet. It's pretty badass. All practical effects. They show a shot of the tops of his feet, and it looks amazing. Special effects, man. Practical. That's where I liked it. Back in these days, before you had the computers involved in all this, they actually had to make this stuff, dude, and it looked pretty amazing. And then you have the chick, the other girl, the other disposable kid, some blonde girl, looks like a very young Ronda Rousey. She is in a room watching television, and Fred Krueger picks her up and says something to her, welcome to prime time, bitch. I believe that's what he says. And he smashes her head into the TV, and that's the end of that chick. Those are the two disposable kids in this movie. For the rest of the movie, it really is, honestly, more of the same. I liked Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. This is one of the ones that was very popular, 1987. That puts me at 16 years old when this movie came out. So, junior in high school, very popular movie. Freddy Krueger was very popular at this point. But I did see something in this movie that caught my ear immediately, which signified the beginning of the end for me for the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. There's one scene where he straps the mute kid to a bed with a bunch of tongues. And he walks into the room, looks at the kid, and says, what's the matter, kid? Are you tongue-tied? Something stupid like that. And that, right there, is the kind of crap that made me start disliking these movies. The first movie was phenomenal. One of the scariest movies I ever saw when I was a kid. The second movie was pretty solid. This movie is pretty solid. Had some hokey in it, But that one-liner stuff, when Freddy Krueger became a stand-up comedian as a second job, that was where this franchise lost me. And that right there, it sounded like that was sound that came through a megaphone when I was watching that movie this morning, because that is the stuff that I can't stand in these movies right there. Some of the really cool things in this movie were the practical effects, as I mentioned earlier, with the veins, awesome. There was a scene with the TV. Girl walks up, she's looking at the TV, Freddy Krueger's arms come out of the side, pick her up, his head stretches out of the top of the TV and he's got antennas. He starts talking to her, kills her, but that whole thing, all practical effects, that was really cool. Towards the beginning of the movie, there's also a practical effect done where Freddy is in the shape of a giant snake. He's big enough that he's eating Patricia Arquette's character. That's really good. There's a close-up of the face, and it looks awesome. It looks just like Robert Englund. There's another scene with Freddy, so a little more practical effects work here, where he's with the punk rock druggy girl, and they show her forearms, and her veins look like they're gasping, like they're yearning for something. And Freddy Krueger picks his hands up, and at his fingertips, instead of having the knives or his regular fingers, he's got all hypodermic needles, and he sticks them into the girl's arms. That part of it's not such an effect, and if you watch that really closely, watch his hands as they meet her arms, and there's a little bit of fumbling going around there. He didn't line it up right, and you can actually see it on film. But the cool part of this was when he held his hands up, they looked like hypodermic needles growing out of his fingers. The practical effects were pretty good. There was one scene of CGI in here, which was really, really bad. There's one kid, the kid that's in the wheelchair. When he dreams, he can stand up, and he dreams that he's a wizard. He looks like a young Harry Potter, glasses and all, short dark hair, wearing a robe, and he does some goofy crap like this, and you see green lasers or whatever, and the word magic shooting out of his fingers. Looks pretty stupid. There's another point with that same kid where he does some kind of goofy garbage with his hands and like a little bird flies out. That's all CGI. That's 1987 CGI, and it looks awful. There's even an effect in this movie where they're out in a junkyard looking for Fred Krueger's bones, and when his bones show up, it almost looks like, it reminds me of the animation from the old movie Clash of the Titans. It actually looks like something that is directly out of Clash of the Titans, and if you've seen that movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that stop animation stuff. You can't tell that I like effects very much, can you? One final thing that I'll touch on, and I'll be done with the effects. So you had the in 1987 CGI, tons of practical effects. You had the stop animation with the skeleton guy, and they actually even had a small piece of claymation in this movie, where the kid who had his veins all ripped out, Fred Krueger, there's a little puppet hanging on his wall, and you see it start to move. It's very obviously claymation, and the thing's face transforms into Freddy's face. His hand transforms into the glove, and it's very obviously claymation, and this is actually done pretty well. There's quite a bit of bad overacting in this movie as well. The two actors that came out of this movie that went on, other than Robert Englund had a very good career as Freddy Krueger, but the two actors that came out of this movie that went on to have very big careers were Patricia Arquette and Laurence Fishburne. And when you go back and look at this movie in 1987, what is that, 33 years ago, you can see it. You can actually see that those two, Fishburne had a very small role in this movie, but you could see that he was honing his craft. Patricia Arquette, she had a much bigger role in this movie, but she still didn't talk a whole hell of a lot in this. But when she did, you could see that there was just something there. There was something special about those two that the other actors in this movie simply didn't have. Oh, you know what else I forgot? Docking. Dream Warriors had docking. Dream Warriors! Oh my God. So overall, I would say I definitely liked Dream Warriors. I thought it was a good movie. As I stated earlier, it's definitely the beginning of the end with the whole one-liner thing. I couldn't stand that garbage. I'm going to review all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies to get that out of the way. I'm 3 movies into the franchise. I have a very strong... It's been so long since I watched these movies that I really don't remember them all that well, but I have a feeling that this is going to be the last one that I really enjoyed a lot. I would say definitely watch Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. It's a good movie. And that is going to do it for my review of the 1987 film, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel. I would love for you to go on this journey with me. And if you do subscribe, don't forget to ring that bell. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, have a kick-ass day, and thank you for watching.